welcome back to the Griffin's Nest. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you are enjoying these tunes. Medieval Tavern Music, Tired Elf Inn, Celtic Fantasy Edition by Ravensgold, of course. As of this message in the speaking role, released 23 hours ago. On December 20th, 2022. Welcome back. Alright, before we do too much, let me post that link in chat for you. And hi, Council of Sin. Welcome, buddy. Excuse me. Okay, let me do the thing. I'm at work, so can't super hang out, but I'll hang out some. Absolutely. Dang it. I did it wrong. Okay. Mod. Let's try that. I don't know if I did it, but I tried. And if I don't do it now, I'm going to be doing it later. I don't plan for this stream to be too long. So the sooner we get started, the sooner we can get done. Alright, let's get done. Alright, but thank you for coming in, Council of Sin. It's good to come back. And is that the only name I'm calling you by? Or what do you think? No pressure. PM me the answer if you need to. Alright, here I am. I was hoping to have at least one more thing, like my fluffy arms or something. But they're across the room. I got a sign. Anyway, welcome back to the Griffin's Nest. Let's see, what light am I feeling? What mood are we in today, guys? No, I actually think this is fine the way it is, to be quite honest. It's a yellow light, I like it. Alright. Good. I hope you are good too. I'm going to put this down here. And probably try not to eat the mic. This way. I hope you can still hear me okay. I imagine so. Alright. So, we last left our heroes. Let's see. Alright, I feel like that grandfather from The Princess Bride. Alright, Binks gapes at us, putting a hand on Emily's shoulder. What's the good news? Alright, so Poppy and her friends have acquired the Moonstone. Success. They've returned to the graveyard where Binks and Emily are awaiting them. And they say, we've got good news and we've got bad news. They go ahead and tell them the bad news first. The witches have the book. Yes, you came out with hang out with us after Christmas sometime, even if it's just for a bit. Absolutely, that's the plan. Absolutely. I'll miss you guys too. Alright, see. Yeah, we'll be in touch. Definitely, buddy. Alright. Elizabeth, the fourth sister of the Sandersons, was awaiting and listening nearby, and the last thing she said, she takes the words right out of my mouth, saying that it isn't over yet. Alright, so they've gone back to get ghostly help. Let's continue with electric or treat. See what they did there? Yet another dad joke. Ooh, look at the electricity. Alright. Electric or cheat? How couldst thou lose the stone? Winifred demands, blaming her sisters. Well, Winnie, Sarah says, twisting her own fingers, thou wert there also. This earns her 2 arched eyebrows from Winifred. Winifred may have been angry at another point in her life, but the memory isn't coming to her in this particular moment. They've lost the Blood Moonstone as well as their supper, and she isn't getting any younger. She slams her book on the wooden planks. It emits a whimper that only she can hear. The sound makes her even angrier at herself. She whirls on her sisters. The book can make sounds? Never in my life have I met such blundering, club-clawed stamp crabs, she says. Sarah and Mary cower and busy themselves at the cauldron, taking turns stirring the incomplete potion, one more gracefully than the other. After a pause, Winifred turns her back on Sarah and Mary, afraid that she will wielding her lightning magic in their direction if either sister opens her hopeless mouth. Slowly, Winifred lifts the cover of her book and smooths an apologetic palm over its titled page. Then holds her hand over the pages and takes a deep breath. The pages flip of their own accord, and when the exchange spell that Winifred desires appears, the page settles and still. She leans in closer to the book and studying the text of the spell in the dark. Behind her, her sisters lean forward too. "Bring me some mortals," Winifred says to them, eyes fixed on the window. "Children?" asks Mary. "It matters not to me," says Winifred, grinning. "Any mortal will do. Sarah, summon old and young alike." Later, or meanwhile, first person perspective, I gotta get back in the character for Poppy. Travis and Binks emerge from the groundkeeper's shed and approach us with a big steel toolbox. "Something in here's gotta be able to crush this stone," says Travis. He takes a hammer to the stone and then a pair of pliers, and then he tries to crush it by over-tightening a clamp, but when he loosens it again, the stone bounces out into his palm, completely unscathed. "Does a blacksmith still reside in Salem?" asks Elizabeth. "Perhaps he could fire the stone and break it with his mallet." "No," says Katie sadly. "The blacksmith unemployment rate became unattainable about a century ago." "We're wasting our time," I say. "It'll be dawn soon." The sky is still dark and the moon is still high. "She's right," says Isabella. "We've been running around for hours and we don't even know how to break the stone." "I just really wish we had the spell book," Isabella says, sprawling on her own head with a front paw. "I know we're not supposed to use it, but wouldn't it be better than not having it?" "I'm not sure," says Elizabeth, looking nervous. "I've told you my sister's book can be trusted. It seems it all knows no alliance except to Winifred, and I know its contents all too well. The exchange spell is single use, meaning it can only be used in the same person once. So even if you incantate it, it would not work on them." "Oh, that's good to know." "So, destroying the moonstone really is our only hope." I keep staring at the horizon, where the black sky fades into a charcoal-colored sea. My heart aches. "But morning is coming," I say quietly, and a fresh wave of despair rushes over me. I turn to Binks. "Can I talk to my family again? I need to tell them I'm sorry." "We don't have time," says Katie, pacing frantically in front of the chapel. "And besides, you can't think like that. We can't give up. Not yet." "Poppy, she's right," says Isabella. "We have to act quickly." "Act quickly we must." Elizabeth slowly descends the chapel steps. "It isn't time yet to lose hope. The blood moonstone is bloodiest before the dawn." "Did she seriously just say that?" quips Katie. I can't help but crack a smile. Elizabeth kneels down in front of Isabella and touches her small round head lovingly as if touching a human cheek. "I was not given the chance to watch my daughter Ismay grow up," she tells her, "but I hope that your kindness and bravery come from her. You aren't afraid to find out who you are." She tips her head to the side. "Though we are family by blood, you come from many places, Isabella. When I was alive, I was always afraid that if I were myself, no one would accept me. So instead, I pretended to be the person I believed everyone, or everyone I cared about, wanted me to be. I was a baker, and kept my life and my family hidden for fear of persecution." Travis slips an arm over my shoulders and the other over Katie's. "I thought we couldn't waste any time," he murmurs. "Shh," I hiss. "Let Isabella have her moment." "In the end," says Isabella, "my pretest didn't matter much. The spell book betrayed me, and the rest is history. You're a brave young woman, Isabella, and you are smart and you are curious. Those are good and dangerous things. But you are also a witch, and that is a good and dangerous thing on its own." This is an encouraging speech. Isabella backs away. "I'm not," she says. "You've seen your powers today," says Elizabeth softly. The lightning? That was an accident. That isn't me," says Isabella. No, she's totally not Pikachu. That's what I believed back then, says Isabella, laying both hands across her lap. I didn't want to be a witch, because I didn't want to turn into my sisters, greedy and selfish and hungry for blood in more ways than one. I didn't end up like them, but I still had my life stolen from me. I was as much a witch then as you are now, but you have shown me that you can be a witch, and even a Sanderson, without being cruel. Is there going to be a blood pact or fire dancing or something? Katie whispers, 'cause I'm here for that. Travis chuckles, and I throw them a pinched look and shake my head in mock disappointment. Heartless, I say, both of you. Katie winks at me, and Travis offers her a fist bump. We sent Poppy's family to hell. Oh, excuse me, wrong person. We sent Poppy's family to hell, Isabella chokes out, drawing our attention back to her and Elizabeth. And I'm a dog. I found myself tearing up at her words. Oh, Ducky, says Elizabeth affectionately, none of that is any of your faults. The day Emily died, I blamed myself for not going after her. I'd seen her that morning I lured through the woods by my sister's spell, but I hadn't realized just what terrible magic was at work. If I had just gone after her, I could have saved her, and saved Thackeray, too. If I had just stood up to my sisters, I could have driven them from town and no one in Salem would have been hurt. I feel a tremendous guilt, and it was easier to sit with that guilt and hide than to defend myself. Now I can help make things right. We all can. Isabella looks hopefully at Elizabeth. Behind them, Emily and Binks smile wanly. Poppy's voice tends to take a little bit of a toll on my throat. Makes me very thirsty, a lot. We all make mistakes, Puppet, says Elizabeth. The trick is to learn how to move past them, and when you can, to use them to your advantage. She pauses and offers both of her palms to Isabella. Now it's my turn, she adds. Isabella rises up on her back legs and places one paw in each of her ancestors' hands. While you were away, Elizabeth said, I was chatting with Poppy's family, and they had an idea for how to turn you back into a human that doesn't involve the spell book. I don't know if it'll work, but let me try it. I want to ask if they're okay, but there's a crackle in the air and the wind seems to shift. As Travis, Katie, and I look on, a spark of searing white electricity snakes around Elizabeth's hands and Elizabeth's paws. In Isabella's paws. I'm getting their names tongue-tied way too easily now. Elizabeth, Isabella. The light frizzles and fades, then reappears, swirling around Elizabeth's left wrist and upper arm before piercing her shoulder and disappearing. Ooh. Another snaking line of electricity, this time yellow, loops around Isabella's leg and bodies, sinking into the base of her spine. Soon, bolts of bright electricity have twined themselves around the two witches like a single glowing rope that sparks and snaps and disappears. Isabella's body starts to shift, growing and twisting. Thick curls sprout from her head and her arms lengthen, fur retreating and skin shifting. The light around her is so bright I have to look away. There's an explosion of sparks and the light snuffs out. I look back, ghosts of rope lights squiggling through my vision. Isabella has transformed back into a human. She's kneeling in front of Ms. Elizabeth, their hands tightly clasped. Isabella is wearing her all-white Athena costume, which is by now worse for wear. She looks down at her hands, flexing her fingers for a moment as if she can't believe her eyes. Then she turns to us, beaming. I can't begin to describe how happy I am. Isabella jumps up and throws her arms around me, squealing, Hands, not paws! I want to tell her that I'm glad she's back, but I realize she was never really gone. I'm at a loss for what to say to her. All I can do is smile. She gives me a tight squeeze and my heart soars. Then we part, and she runs over to hug Travis, who's grinning broadly. Good to have you back, dog breath, he says. Aunt Annie would reel at that nickname. Thanks, Isabella replies, batting him playfully on the shoulder. She turns and pulls Katie into a long hug. At first, a look of surprise passes over Katie's face, but then she puts her arms tightly around Isabella too. and smiles. Neither girl says anything, but I see 1,000 versions of "I'm sorry" and "I missed you" and "I forgive you" pass between them through that hug. It makes me smile. Isabella pulls away, and Katie lifts her arm so Isabella can do a twirl as I cheer her on. "Take a bow," Katie laughs. I'm starting to like Katie a bit more. Isabella stops in front of Elizabeth and pauses to catch her breath. "Thank you," Isabella exclaims. "I mean, I wish you'd done a bit sooner." "I only wish I had thought of it myself," Elizabeth says. "Magic isn't always as simple as reading a spell. It wasn't until Poppy's mother asked if you had lightning powers. And then I realized that there might be a way to transform you back without the spellbook's help. Luckily, it worked." She pauses, and a little smile appears on her face. "Thank goodness," cries Isabella. "Seriously," I add. "If your lightning magic is as strong as I think it is," continues Elizabeth, "you'll need to learn how to control it. Watch." She lifts her hands over her head and white sparks crackle between her fingers, then blossom overhead in a dazzling miniature firework. Elizabeth bites her lips and holds out her own hands. "What if I can't do it?" she asks. "There's nothing to do." Elizabeth touches Isabella's arms and elbows, making small corrections and helping her relax. "Now," she says softly, leaning over Isabella's shoulder, "breathe deep, and—" Yellow lightning flies from Isabella's hands, making a great crack and releasing a fireball that bursts into midair. The recoil sends her backwards, shooting right through Elizabeth and crashing into me. I react with just enough time to steady myself and keep us both from toppling over. "Well, okay," I say. "Thanks for always having my back," says Isabella. She laughs and takes a step backward. "Wait till Stanford hears about this," she says, watching yellow sparks jump from her fingers. I snort, and Katie smiles. Elizabeth just looks perplexed. "This explains the static and all the zaps of electricity that kept happening to us today," I tell Isabella. "It all makes sense." An idea hits me. "Hey, can you zap the stone? Maybe that'll break it." "Always full of ideas, Poppy. Always have liked that about you. Let me give it a try," says Isabella. Elizabeth's expression changes to one of worry. I place the moonstone down on the grass, and Isabella stares hard at it and takes aim. Bolts of yellow lightning cackle around her knuckles like fiery wires. Oh, this is getting so good. This is getting so good. And we're almost done. Dang, that was a short chapter. "Stop!" Elizabeth exclaims, standing between the stone and Isabella. Isabella startles and releases her fists. The bolt ricochets and hits a nearby tombstone with a skull and crossbones, which cracks and smokes. Poor tombstone. I wonder who that was. We're just going to call him... We're going to call him... Trevor. There. That's a good name nobody likes, I guess. I don't know. I was trying not to think of anybody in particular when I was thinking of a name. Anyway. Isabella startles and releases her fist. The bolt ricochets and hits a nearby tombstone. Skull and crossbones, which cracks and smokes. "What? Why?" she asks, suddenly frazzled. "Yeah," says Travis. "Using Isabella's lightning magic to zap the stone is the best idea we've had all night." "Speak for yourself," Katie chimes in. "What you got, Katie?" Elizabeth looks from the stone to each of us. "The moonstone is made up of energy, a great powerful kind of energy. Trying to destroy its magic with your magic could be dangerous and result in a fiery blast. It could bear large enough danger to endanger the town. You'll need to do it in a place with a lot of open space, somewhere it takes the brunt of the shock to minimize the damage. But that should do it." I don't think they've ever played Dungeons and Dragons before. Just saying. "The lighthouse," Travis says. We all turn to look at him. "What do you mean?" asks Isabella. "I have an idea," he says. "Travis, explain," I say impatiently. When we continue to stare, he points in the direction of the coast. If we can blast it off the lighthouse and over the water, no one gets hurt. Except some fishes, he explains. Then, if everyone's in favor, it's settled. Let's head back to Winter Island, I tell them. Wait, says Isabella, faltering in a way I'm not used to seeing from her. What if I can't do it? Oh. You can, I say with conviction. Isabella steals her expression and nods, but she still looks unsure. Besides, dear, adds Isabella, I'm coming with you. And that's the end of that chapter. Okay, I know I usually do one chapter at a time, but how long is this one? Nope. I'm so sorry. Nope. The next one would be a tad too long. Plus, I mean, I've still got work to do. I was actually kind of hoping for a short stream, like I said. But next time when we tune in, we're going to start on page 456. A touch stringy when stewed is the next chapter. Oh, and the picture looks rather darn interesting. But you'll have to wait till next time to see it for yourself. Unless you want to go out and buy the book. Thank you so much for joining me here on The Griffin's Nest. This has been Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel from Freeform Books. Get your own copy, tune in, or see you next time for the further reading. And I believe that leaves us 6 chapters left? Technically 5, because one of them is like so short it's not even funny. Thank you again. I will see you guys next time here on The Griffin's Nest. Take care. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, but I'll keep you updated. Be sure to watch for my Twitter, Discord, wherever you're keeping notes on me, and I'll see you soon. Bye 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 bye.